Hi. Alright, so today's video is going to be a little bit more serious. A lot of you guys have been asking for a little bit more serious videos, Something that is significant to people. None of you have asked that, I'm joking. But today is going to be a little bit more serious. I feel it deserves a place on my channel because that is a side of me. And that's what I hope to convey in my whole channel, really, is just me. I feel like comedy holds a strong place in my personality. I find comfort in humor, making people laugh and laughing at the same time. But I feel I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and myself included. I like conversations with myself. Basically, the extent to which comedy can affect you personally, other people, your credibility. And this is talking about the humor, like what kind of things you find funny, what kind of jokes you tell, like how that affects your character, your values. The argument stems from people making content or creating content on YouTube or like TV or anything like that. There's boundaries to which you can pursue comedy without it ruining credibility. And in daily life too, applying for a job and what kind of humor you find funny can affect, I feel, how others perceive you, because there's some extreme comedy out there. There's many different types of comedy. The normal comedy, it's more widely accepted. Stuff like memes that are just, personally, I don't find very funny. Stuff like this or this is just, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or like stuff like that. It's not funny. And then there's more extreme comedy, and it's considered more niche. So the nicher it gets, can you describe something like that? Nicher. The more niche the comedy is, it may be considered more dark humor or not funny at all. Despite there being many different types of comedy, I've always probed the idea that it can define your character. It may not define your character personally. It might define other people perception of your character and your beliefs and values and stuff like that. Because in simple terms, let's say a woman is laughing at something that is generally viewed as destructive or sad. Does that categorize her as insensitive or lacking in empathy? Can you judge a character as a human being based on what she finds funny in a moment or in many moments? Does it define how she treats people or she treats herself because of the things she finds funny? How would it affect your perception of her as a friend or a mother or an employee? Even having those answers, would they change if it was a man? Let's say a man was looking at something that is generally viewed as destructive, and he started laughing in that moment because he found it funny in that moment. Can you define someone by their comedy? That's the basis of this video and that question. So I feel like an answer that comes straight to mind is your comedy does change depending on who you're surrounded by. I wouldn't joke the same way I joke with my friends as I would with my grandmother, or my grandma. That would be disrespectful, and I'd expect more from myself, really. That'd be kind of messed up. But she knows what I'm like. She knows who I am. She knows how I act, how I treat people. Without the knowledge of what I joke around with my friends. But in contrast, when you're meeting someone new and you tell a joke that isn't normally accepted, the first impression of someone is based off of that. So let's say I'm meeting someone and usually I joke because I find comfort in it, so I joke around with someone, and usually I get judged off that. They naturally form an impression and they base my character off that because they do have a point. Can my respect for someone diminish because of their ill-suited humor? I feel like it can, but I don't think it's completely right, because you can't judge someone by something so surface level. Because I met people who've made misogynistic jokes, and some who had good response and some who didn't. The delivery of the joke and the relationship with the audience definitely impacted my response to the joke, because I understood some of these people low-key had these perception of women, and others were playing on the irony of thinking this way. And I think that's a big difference, that the audience perceives it and understands it as comedy, but then the next question is, what are the boundaries? Can someone say something extremely offensive and it be okay because there's enough people laughing behind it? Because I could be like, hey bitch, go make me a sandwich. I personally think it's funny because it plays on the irony of the character. Someone who thinks it's okay to speak to people like that. The beliefs about women is so outrageous that it's laughable. Like speaking to someone like that, like, "Hey, bitch, go make me a sandwich." That's pretty good humor. You could also compare it to me saying something really, really serious, but because I've delivered it in a way that isn't in comedic fashion, it's accepted. So if I say something really serious and edited it, the thing's not so serious anymore. Like, let's say, no, I'm quitting YouTube. Sorry, fuck it. I forgot what we were talking about here. I'm quitting YouTube. Yeah, I think this is the last video you ever see of me. When you're in a state of laughter, you're primed to search for the ironies and comedic aspects of everything around you, despite there being nothing there to laugh at. And some people regularly live there. Could be people who just laugh at everything. Because I know there's certain times when everything and anything will make me laugh. Someone could literally shit on my pillow and I'd laugh. Take Trump, for example. He's been turned into something of comedy, and he's done a bunch of shitty things, and me and my friends joke about it more than we should because of how serious it is. And so is media. Social media has painted him as a comedic thing, even though it is serious. He is running a whole country. Another point is that credible humans, or people who are of merit, they have achievements in fields outside of comedy. Some regularly do have darker humor, like, let's say, Ryan Reynolds. He's an actor. He does do comedy. Maybe that's not a good example. Or Jennifer Lawrence. I know these are all actors, but I'm not 100% sure how the media paints them. If they're still good guys for having darker humor, or what's the deal? Or do people see less of them because of that?
Your beard is so thin. Oh, I can't talk about my pubes. Before our sex scene, I took 2 Pepto-Bismol.
During our sex scene, I felt your dick rubbing into me.
I think my points, or at least my thoughts, were shared. That's how I feel. I believe it's all down to the audience and the state they're in, the receptive state, if you will. I guess bottom line is, the reason I brought it up is because I'm worried that someone will be quick to judge based off of what we say in a comedic setting. You know, I'm just an insecure teenager. Ew. Well, ladies and gentlefish, I think that is the video for today. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in a couple days, or not.